This is about the same flight path that plane took on that date, November 12th, 2022. And right in the middle of your screen, that is where those two planes collided as they were attempting to land at the Dallas Executive Airport, resulting in 6 fatalities. So on that day, there was an air show called the Wings Over Dallas, and it was organized by the Commemorative Air Force. Basically, it's a nonprofit, and their whole mission is to preserve historic aircraft. So on that day, you had about 4,000 people at the air show, and you had many others in this very parking lot where I'm at right now. And to see something like that in front of you, absolutely shocking and horrific. There was 5 people flying on that B-17 Flying Fortress. That is a World War II aircraft. And let me tell you, there's not many airplanes, especially of that size, that are still flying in that kind of, in a way where they're flying in a flying condition. There's not many left. The other plane that accidentally crashed into the B-17 was a P-63 F-1 BE King Cobra. And that plane was being piloted by one Craig Hutain. So after the planes crashed, they immediately got the wreckage of the smaller plane, but the bigger plane, that took some time because then all of a sudden a storm came into the area and they had to wait for the rain to dissipate before they were able to get the wreckage and kind of do an investigation, which was done by the FAA and the NTSB. So the dead on board of the B-17 Flying Fortress was one Terry Barker, Kevin Michaels, Daniel Reagan, Leonard Root, and Curtis Rowe. Practically all these guys that are on these planes and flying these planes, these guys are either retired pilots that they flew in the military and then they flew commercially. Pretty much all of them, that's the route that they took. They're all retired pilots. And they have many years of experience. So we're gonna ask ourselves the obvious question: how the hell did this happen? Well, I'm not really sure how long the investigation took, but basically it was a combination of a few different factors. Now the air boss, I'm assuming the guy in charge of the show, he had radio to the pilots, because there was a couple other planes in back of that B-17, and they were supposed to come in single parallel formation. Now, from what they gather, because none of these planes had any kind of flight data recorder on board, so because of that smaller plane, not many of those, I believe, were ever made. That might have even been, I don't want to say a prototype, but that might have been a different style of plane versus the other ones that were mass produced. So they believe a combination of altitude not being given from the ground up to the pilots. What altitude should we fly at? No altitude information was given. The pilot, Mr. Hutain, who was in the P-63, they believe because that plane was reinforced, the visibility in the cockpit was not very good. So when you're in the cockpit of the smaller plane, you're not going to be able to see below you very well. And as you can see in that video, the plane came just a little higher than the B-17. So you had those factors, basically a lack of communication. And if that smaller plane had, just even a second later, it would have avoided that plane. And I cannot imagine. I mean, I believe that we all have a small fear of flying, and to be on that plane and then just realizing that something just hits you and then you crash, go to the ground, and it explodes. I mean, not the most instant of deaths, but when they hit the ground, that would be it. Just a what else? You know, a freak accident, and all that experience, all those years of all the people on board that died, and just a failure of communication basically is what happened. And that, you know, just better communication would have prevented 6 people from losing their lives. Tragic. Rest in peace to all those who lost their lives in basically a needless accident. All right, I just wanted to stop by. I've always been curious as to, you know, viral videos, areas that they were filmed at, what it looks like, the area that it's in, so forth and so on. All right, guys, I'm out of here. I'll see you on the next video. Peace out.